All right, so we are done with our first test case and it looks good. Then you can move on to the second test case. So let's talk about one more test case and see how we can do it. So now this time we'll take a little bit different one. So we'll try with the load calculator. Okay. All right, so if I'm doing the load calculator test, imagine you are doing manually, what would be your steps?
Open browser.
Okay, so now open browser, I think everybody's good. So I'm gonna copy these 2 steps. Actually 4 steps. Okay. All right, so open browser, browser is open, our flow and home page is displayed, credential entered, password entered, we are good. Okay, what is my next logical step?
So we need to change the username and password.
Okay,
As a dealer.
so G training and training. Because I need to know who has access, dealer has access, so I need to log in as a dealer.
But we can also log in as a super user, right?
You can do it, but you want to simulate the actual user. Okay. I would suggest let's pay attention here. You guys can have a chat a little bit later. I'll give you time to work through the test cases. Let's pay attention here. All right, so what do we have next one?
Now click on the calculator.
Okay, so you guys remember, click on calculator, and then what is the result?
The homepage of calculator.
Homepage of is it?
It's just the calculator.
Okay, what am I missing here? Can I click on calculator without logging in?
No. Dealer homepage.
Okay. All right. So once I'm on dealer homepage, then I can click on calculator. And then what I'm expecting.
Calculator.
Okay, I'm on calculator page. Okay, then what?
Enter the loan amount.
Enter loan amount.
1,000.
As 1,000, right? Okay. Okay, I'm able to enter loan amount.
Click calculate.
Click calculate. What are we expecting?
$30 will be displayed.
Okay. Verify that $30 is displayed. So if I'm doing manually, this would be my logical steps. Now, last step is very important, right? We all know it. It is very important. This is without that you can't do much. We don't have expected result, right? When you are automating, we don't have expected result for every step. But the last step, this is where tool will say pass or fail. If it's not $30, if it's $40, then tool will fail it. Whatever instruction you give. Okay, so at this point, I'm ready to write my second test case. And I'm going to create a new folder under test cases. And say I'm just putting as a calculator. Okay, or calculator test cases. Because there could be positive test case, negative test case, I can all group together in the calculator folder. Okay, this particular folder. So once I have a folder, I can right click on it, say new test case, and say positive loan amount. Or valid loan amount. Okay, I'm just saying valid loan amount. Okay. At this point, it's an empty test case. So I will go and record it. Again, you don't need to keep on entering the URLs. Once it's set, it's only once, first time. All you have to do is start recording. And you will follow your step G training, click login. Now, based on following my steps, I need to click on calculator. Then I'm going to enter 1,000. Click on calculate. Now I need to capture this thing, right? $30. So I'm going to right click on it. Make sure it's highlighted red square. And then Katalon. What I can verify here. Visible, clickable, text. You want to verify visible? If I do visible, it will just say the element is visible or not.
Oh, thanks.
I need to verify the amount. So you want to select,
Text.
okay? At this point, I am good. So I'm going to close out browser. Now, why I'm closing the browser? Because every time you run it, it will automatically close the browser after the execution. Otherwise, it will remain open. Okay, so that's the reason you are closed. You need to close the browser and then save script. Now again, it will pop up this window. Now this is very important. Let me explain you a little bit further what happens. So if I have everything selected, it will create another folder called page homepage, and it will dump the login controls over there. Then it will create a page underscore folder, and it will create this items. Do you really want that? Because you already have these controls created as part of the other test case, super user login. So what you can do is you can uncheck this because you don't want to create it again. That's the whole point of page objects pattern. You create once and then you reuse it. So I'm not going to create this things again, but these are new ones. These are calculator page. This is other things which is not there. So I'm going to store it. Okay, so I'm going to select that and then click on OK. Now, if I do that, it will create a page folder and then it will be under object repository. Okay, I'll see that. So let me go and click OK. So now, if you see it on the left side, I have this thing here. I can rename it because I want to organize it. I will say calculator or calculator page. Okay. Now in the calculator page, I have this A, calculate, input, and span. Those three controls are on the calculator page. What is this? A underscore calculator. Let me open that. So this is the dealer link navigator, basically. Click. Does that belong to the calculator page or it belongs to the different page? What is this control? You guys recognize it?
It's a dealer page.
It's on the dealer homepage.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want it under calculator page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under repository, create a new folder for dealer homepage. Okay. And I'll move this control A calculator under dealer homepage. Now I'm organizing better so that every page, all the controls related to the one page are under that page. So I can reuse it in the future. Okay. Now you don't have to change much here. And see if my script runs. Okay, if it doesn't run, then we'll come back and modify something. Okay, so at this point, all I did is organize the controls here, and I did not change anything in the script. Let me go and run it, see if it runs without any problem. If it doesn't, then you have to troubleshoot it. Okay. All right, so now it's throwing the error. Okay, so let's see why it's throwing the error. Okay, here, I see here. So here, it says, so first it opened this page, right? It's not able, it is not able to find this control. That's the reason it got stuck here. First control, it's not able to find. So I need to compare, see what I have here, right? Because this is a control, it stopped. It went to the first two steps are good, right? You open the page, it went to the URL, but third one, it did not do much. Okay, so I'm gonna see it here, what this control is. Remember, I deleted, I did not select it, right? So it did not save it. So it gave a different name here. So if I come here, to the login test case. Let's see if it's the same name or not. Okay. So input underscore user's name, right? This is the name. And if I compare with input of the user name, username underscore CTL main. Say both look same, exactly same, but somehow it's not able to find it on the valid loan amount page. The best thing you can do at this point is you double click this object and just point to the right control where it would be under home page, not dealer home page, right? This is the first page, home page. So you just come here and select this object and click OK. All right. Then the same thing you repeat for second one. Open the password, select, click OK. And third one, I'm just going to repeat it so that I don't do that. So now I'm pointing, I corrected these objects. I'm going to save it. These are save buttons here at the left side. Let's see if it runs okay. So now it found those controls because I pointed to the right control, and now it's hooked up properly. Okay, so now my script is passed, right? And I don't see any issue with the script anymore. And I'm good with my logic here. Okay, so what I did here, when I save the controls, I unchecked those because I did not want to store the same objects again. So I unchecked that. Then I came back in the test case and I clicked on the object and linked up with the appropriate field. Okay, and I'm sure this is the most common scenario. When you are following the page objects pattern, even though it looks same, but it may not be exactly same. Maybe there is a space in there or something when it captured. Okay, so this is one thing. Is everybody good? Okay, now let's see what additional things we have, right? So you can record it. Now this is called a manual testing view or keyword view, right? Now if you guys see at the bottom here, I have a bunch of tabs here. I don't know whether any of you looked at it, but there is a next tab is a script. So let me click on it, and it's a piece of code here. Okay, I just clicked on the script, so it opened the scripting view. So here, as I said, it's a Groovy programming language. Okay, if you just want to see what Groovy programming is, Groovy lang.org, I think, or .com. Okay, this is a groovylang.org. It's a programming language. If you want to learn more about it, you can come here and try to basically look at the documentation. What are the different specs and other things? But it's a programming language from Apache. Okay, it's Apache Groovy. This is the URL, groovylanguage.org. Okay, you don't need to learn. You're not going to do any coding because this is a codeless automation tool. But what it does is it generates something in the back for every step that you have. So open browser, web UI.open browser, web UI.navigate to URL, set text. So it's finding the control name, right? This control name is using of whatever we captured, and basically try to make some action on it. Validate element, $30, and so forth. Okay. I just wanted to show you quickly so that you understand what the scripting window looks like. But you will be working here, manual testing window. Okay. The second part, let me move on to the third tab here, which is variables. So there is a variables tab here. Do you guys understand the variable? I think Dilip talked briefly about the programming session, talking about the variable. So variables are nothing but in memory data structures. Okay, so you can define your variables basically and use it in your test scripts. So let me show you one common example. I have this URL, and I know it's, I can modify the URL, right, by double clicking it and change it here, right? Now in the same different test case, I have the same URL here. Now, if we are looking at the good practice for the test, imagine tomorrow your site changes, they move to different server and you have completely different URL. And if you have find the test cases, then you have to go on each test case and modify it. That's going to take you quite some time because you have to open the test case, change the URL for every test and do it. That's not a good practice. Okay, so what you do is you create a variable, store it in a URL, store the URL into a variable, and then use the variable in the input wherever you need it. Same thing with the username and password. If your password changes tomorrow, you're messed up. Your test cases are will not work. Instead of that, you create once, store it some central place, you change it, and then put it, refer that variable in your steps. So let me show you here how you can do it. This is where you go to the default. Okay, so the under profile, you have default. Okay, and here you can add global variables. Okay, so let me quickly add it. There is an add button. I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to name as rflown URL, and value type is string. If you are storing any number, numeric values, you can change it to number, boolean, all different kind of things. Okay, but I'm going to leave it for string, and here the value. This is where I can type in rflown.cloud, what is it, Azure website. And you can put some description, rflown website. You don't have to, but you can put some description and click OK. So now I just added one global variable. So this, whatever you define in the default profile, any variable that you define is available across all the tests, which is called a global variable. So once you define it, make sure you save it. And let's say I want to use this variable into all my tests instead of hard coding the URL. So what I can do is I open the test. Now I need to refer the global variable instead of hard coding here. So I'll come here and I'll change the value type. Again, this one will have a variable, global variable, test data value, all different types. So this is a global variable that I have defined in the default. So I'm going to select a global variable. If I do that, it changes to this value. Now I need to refer to the rflown. So I can again click here. It will pop up this rflown URL. I'll click, select that. This is how it will look. Global variable dot rflown URL. Okay. So it will change it here to the variable. So I'll come and save it. I'll repeat the same step. Open the second one, value type. This is where I'll change to variable to the global variable. Okay. And then I come here, change to rflown URL, click OK. So at this point, both of my tests refers to the same variable. If I create a new one, I simply go and modify it at that point and put this URL in. So if something changes tomorrow, I come here and change the URL to cnn.com. Let me just change it to right here. So now it's pointing to CNN. So if I enter my test or run my test here, obviously it will fail because it will go to the CNN instead of the rflown. Now any test you run, it will basically go to the cnn.com. Okay, so now cnn.com will open and so forth. Okay, let me come back here and change it to So this is important, okay, because this is what you will be using day in and day out. Okay, all right. So what is a local variable, right? So this is a global variable available across everywhere. Now, the local variables which are available only for that test. Okay, so let's say instead of hard coding 10,000, I want to use a variable. So I can go to this variables tab, which is available only for this test. So what I can do is I can say quickly say add, and it will add like this. You can change the name to whatever name you want. So it's a monthly payment, right? Okay. Value type is string, which is fine. Let me add another variable called loan amount. Okay. Now it says a default value. So what I can do is instead of $30 typing it here, I can assign the $30 to this variable. Okay. So the variable has a value of $30. Loan amount has a value of 1,000. Okay. So now I just created two variables that holds $30 and 1,000. I come back to my script here and change this to refer to the variable. Let me come here, double click it. Again, value type. And you will select variable. Right? So variables, you can't select global variable, right? Because global variable is different. This is the variable. So you come here, and as soon as you do that, you should see those two variables popped up that you have defined. So here $1,000, so loan amount, click OK. And this one, again, you could repeat the process. Variable and monthly payment. Okay. So now instead of hard coding, I have stored the values in the variable so that I can change it in future if I need it. Okay. So now if I run it, I'm hoping my test will pass if all the variables are defined properly and has the proper values. Okay, so whatever I did worked basically. It did verify, validated the amount. Now, how do I know it's working? So if I change it to 40 here, variable value, save it. Because my previous test passed, now I'm expecting it to fail because it's expecting 40. Just to test it out, your script is working okay. And you can see it here. It read those values for $40, 1,000, and then it's performing the steps here. Set text, click verify element. So this is where it will fail. Verify element. This is says $30 and expected $40. Actual text did not match. This is the reason why it failed. Okay. Again, let's come back here, change it. And I'll save it. So let me recap what we did, right? We created a loan calculator. That's no brainer, right? So you just follow the steps for loan calculator, what you had. Then we talked about the global variable, which we created under default. And we modified our test cases to use the global variables here. Okay. Then in one of the test cases, we also updated we created local variables and we referred in the steps that we had. Okay. Any question on this one? If not, let's quickly get this one done. Now, this time, hopefully it will go faster. Instead of 30 minutes, we can get it done in 20 minutes, then we'll come back. We have to come back twice, 2 more times. Okay, so let's see if we can get this part done.
The question would be with the object repository, renaming the objects, taking them to the different folders.
Yes, okay. So these objects, right? This is what the objects, we double click on it. And whichever object you want to point, you can point it. If you already saved it, go to the folder and just select it.
So when I created a page, it says the page and it has like 2 object repository. I get one with page.
It's a 2 folders,
Yeah.
right?
You just renamed those folders?
Yeah, make sure you rename it. Otherwise, every time it will create page underscore and put everything dumped together.
But if you have a different login.
So
say-
page, you renamed it admin homepage, isn't it?
Yep, I renamed admin homepage. It has 1 element, right?
Okay.
Then calculator page has 3 elements. Dealer homepage has 1. Because I just wanted to put the appropriate elements into appropriate folders. That's all I did when I organized it, right? This part. And homepage has 3 elements because the login and text for username, password, right?
And then after I do this, I go to the page into the objects, right? And then I have to point it to the correct page, right?
Why don't you do it and see if you run into issue and then we'll talk. Yep.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, any other question? Yeah.
So first time we saved it as a admin homepage, right?
Yeah,
Second time
because
we
it
are-
was admin homepage, right?
Yeah, but
This
second
element.
time we are logging as a dealer homepage. So can we separate that out?
Yeah, I
Or-
separated out, right? Dealer homepage here. And it has a calculator. Basically, the calculator button link is on dealer homepage.
But how do you do the GT training and training? Because it's,
So see the objects doesn't have values.
mhm,
Values you are assigning in your test case.
okay,
So object remains same. It's just that you are assigning different values for different test cases.
okay.
So that's why you store once, the
Okay,
definition once. But when you are creating the test cases, you can give different values.
so when you are running it, you have to, if you are logging as a super user, then you have to change your value input here, right?
Yes, not here, not in the definition. In your test case, you are assigning different values like G training here, right? Object, it points to the same. This is the object.
Okay,
It's pointing to the same object here,
okay,
right? You are, but the value you are assigning G training.
okay.
Yep. So with the super user is test training. That's all.